You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter on iWalter. I'm actually doing a show again. I didn't do one last night. It is the end of Wednesday night, Wednesday the 6th. So it's going to be, by the time I get finished, it'll actually be a Thursday morning. There was a few things I wanted to mention. First off, before I say anything, just want to give a happy belated birthday because I wasn't on for the last couple days. To a person I admired growing up, George Reeves, at least admired watching the reruns of Superman. So his birthday was on January 5th, 1914, and he had died June 16th, 1959. Speculation if he actually committed suicide or if it was was he murdered. Nobody really knows the answer to that one. It was kind of funny. I've been watching this show. I've been marathoning it, actually. I wanted to go see a movie, which I forgot to actually pull up. So here I go once again, right at the beginning of my show, looking for a film that was recommended. I made a joke to a friend who recommended to me that I won't go see it. But I was being sarcastic because actually I did want to go see it today. And I think it was called The Big Small, but let me go check. That should be an easy one. I think I actually got it correct for a change. I normally never get anything right. It's about banks and everything like that, so to speak. I really can't speak for it because I have not seen it yet. Yeah, I can't find it, so I'm going to have to look it up. So I'm going to look on Fandango. But a friend recommended this film. He said it was really good. Made him think about how he spends his money. Spending too much, I guess, and finding out later. And, just assuming that you can spend more money than you have. And later on, doesn't turn out the way. Actually, I did get it wrong. I was close. It was called The Big Short. I'm probably going to go see it sometime this week because he actually kind of intrigued me by... Well, actually, reading up on it, too, and then what he had told me, obviously. He's always convinced that I won't go see things just because he mentions them. That's not true. People who would be recognizable right off the bat would be Christian Bale. Actually, Steve Carell or whatever. He played in the 40-Year-Old Virgin. People I would know. Brad Pitt. And Marissa Tomei, but there is other people actually in this film that probably people would know. I'm just because there's a handful more people, maybe more, that make this film. So I'm going to actually try to make an attempt to go see this. And I'm not even kidding because it kind of does intrigue me. It's not like movies like that. I don't need to go see in the big theater. I'm being a bit of a hypocrite because that would be not true because I keep on bumping. Maybe that screen actually does. I'm trying to experiment not using the windscreen just because it's just a little bit more irritating and kind of obstructs my view a lot more. I do have a sock, so to speak, they call it, I think. It's a foam piece over my mic to kind of pad the sound. But I did go see the Jobs movie. The least one of them I saw in the movie theater. But any kind of documentary films or anything about political films, I usually don't see. This one actually's got my attention more so than most others, so I might actually go see that. I'll probably get reamed for this by a friend, but I always get reamed. It's what makes me And I had to think about this really strongly before I'd even bring it up on my show tonight. But I decided, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna mention it anyway. Because I've always actually liked a lot of children's shows, and it's not because, oh, well, that makes you a pedophiliac. Well, you know what? No offense to anybody who feels that I am, but a lot of these shows, especially children's shows, and it didn't dawn on me why I actually am intrigued by them until like I started watching this one, because I used to watch when I was a kid a different show. It was called Boy Meets World, and I remember watching it for the longest time. And now they just decided to bring it back, and they decided to add like the next generation of like, okay, he's no longer a little boy, the main actor who played on that show. He's all grown up and he has his own kids. And at first I was like, okay, this looks really bad. Not interested at all. And when I'm away, when I was on vacation a couple times, there was like really not that many stations that caught my attention of them like at home at night. I'm not going to be out on vacation 24/7 running around on the beachfront or wherever I'm at, depending where I'm at. There's times I just want to sit and relax, and I want to watch something. I want to watch something I actually enjoy. I don't need to watch informative news and stupid shows that I really just get nothing out of. I want to watch something that I actually enjoy. And if people disagree with what I like, then that's too bad. That's on them. That's actually not on me at all. So, and I always have to feel guilty. I should follow this track of when I was born, what I should be doing. When I'm a teenager, where I should be placed in life, where I should be as a young adult, when I should be at the present time, and I should follow the exact same track that everybody else does. I should be married. I should have a house. I should be responsible for other things too, up to the point. And at this at a certain precise time, I should be making my funeral arrangements and be prepared to die. Well, maybe most people love to live their life like that, but I hate to tell you, that is not me. Because if you really think about it, I've already been off track from most people's destination in life from the age of 12, when between the age of 12 till the age of 22, I never lived at home. I lived in a mental health facility. So I've already been off track. So life is not, some people just live their life. Oh, I have friends that say, oh, I'm an old man now. Well, these certain people say that they've been saying that since they were in their 20s. I kind of acted like that a little bit when I was in my 20s. I actually came to the reality, life is not etched in stone. Just because they say you should live your life a certain way, you should be at a certain point at a certain time. Well, look at these people. They're fucking miserable. They're not happy with their lives. They're living their lives through the way they've been dictated to them, or the way they've been brainwashed to think. Well, guess what? I've never lived my life through somebody else. A lot of people get really frustrated by that. But, hey, you should stop watching kids shows when you reach a certain age. You should start thinking this way. Well, you live your life that way, but then you should live, try. There's that one song from Depeche Mode, try walking in my shoes. Well, try walking in my shoes. You spend 12 years in a mental institution with nobody to talk to, or having, nobody contacting you besides your parents, and losing all touch with your everyday life. And you come back to me and then you kind of explain to me, well, you should, once you get out, you should live your life the way that is dictated to you how to live it. Well, guess what? To those people, and no offense, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry for saying that. And if you find that offensive, that's on you, not me. Because the problem is, if you don't make mistakes and you don't live your life the way you want to live it, within reason, you're never going to learn. Because if you live your life by textbooks and by other people, you're never going to be your own person. You're going to be somebody else, and you're never going to learn. You're never going to learn. So how do I learn? I learn from my mistakes. Now, some people will beg to differ that I never learn from my mistakes. No offense. Yeah, I actually kind of do. I said kind of because I'm not perfect. Of course, nobody's perfect. But some people say, well, we don't live in the perfect world, but yet they try to live this perfect world that doesn't exist and try to make it into a perfect world or try to live a certain way. Now, if I find myself dead on the street someday, is that because somebody's going to come up to me and say, well, I told you, you should have listened to me. Well, you know what? Those people who dictate to me how I should live my life are living exactly in the same, they're living their lives exactly the same way that they never liked when other people told them how to live their lives. Like, you have friends or whatever, whoever it may be, who tell you, okay, I don't like this about so-and-so, but yet you're doing the same thing. Everything you don't like about certain people, you do the exact same thing, and you end up living your life as that person you can't stand. That's why I stopped doing that a long time ago. I just had to get that out, basically. Now, the shows I watch them because I get entertained by them. I don't care if it's a show about a bunch of kids or a bunch of adults. You always can learn something from someone, no matter how old they are. Just because, I'm almost 49 years old doesn't mean I won't learn anything, that I should know everything. The one thing I did learn, it doesn't matter if you're 12 or 75, but I've learned that just because you look older doesn't mean you act any older. I've experienced that with a lot of people. I always believed when I was a little kid, when I was 5 years old or 8 years old, that adults knew everything. Well, guess what? I found out becoming an adult, so to speak, if we want to put it that way, that just because you get older, your body wears out, does not mean you're a different person. It means you're exactly the same person. So people need to learn that you don't see. That's the thing. I don't live my life. That's the thing I was trying to look for. I don't live my life like most people. I don't live in a linear line. Like by the time of my death, or up to the time of my death, I should have lived my life exactly. People will disagree with me in a linear way. When you're 15, you should be doing this. When you're 21, you should be doing this. Well, that's fine. That's you. That is not me. I don't wish to live my life linearly. When the time's right for me, maybe it's never going to be right. I will find out. But you know what? In another 50 years from now, I won't be here. Nobody will even know who I was. So, the thing is, I live my day every day as though it's my first day of living almost. That probably doesn't make much sense to many people. But you can live your life miserably and living it linearly, or you can live your life to its fullest every day. So you got to decide. But I've been watching a show on it was on the Disney Channel. Go ahead, rip me apart. I'm sure somebody will. And it was at first I started on this and I sidetracked. It was a show I used to watch years ago called Boy Meets World. It was always really intriguing. It was definitely entertaining because you basically, for almost, I don't know how many years, you've seen this kid from, I think, the age of 12 or 14 grow up, his life. You grew up through, watching the show, half-hour show, grow up from just a little kid who was just a little bit of a smart aleck, that he thought he knew everything. And it was a really good show because it was a family show that you grew up all the way up to when his brother and himself, when he himself went to college, from 12 to high school, through college, and through marriage. And then the show finally came. I guess they decided, well, we'd done everything we could do with this show, and it ended. So it was on for quite a few years. I can't remember. I have all the seasons. I bought this box set a few years ago, and I was actually watching it. And then got to the point there were some other TV shows I actually wanted to watch. It was just too much for me to watch. And they said that Disney decided to pick up the rights and go along and continue where they had, left off, I think 15 years after it was done with or something like that, where now they have kids. They have 2 daughters on the new show, which they call Girl Meets World. And at first it was like, okay, this is Disney. I'm a little bit leery about that because I think before it was on a regular national television station or cable station, something like that. So again, I was very leery. Didn't think this show was going to be that spectacular. So I kind of just let it go by the wayside. Well, now it's been on for 2 years. The continuation, they go bring people back from the past. You see how they've changed. You see how they've aged. I mean, you're talking about a show when it first started. The kid was no more than 12 years old, maybe 13. So they picked up and they kind of show on the show where history kind of almost it repeats itself somewhat, but it's just how things change when the show started with the main actor, which I can't even remember his name. I'll have to look up these actors' names. I'll just look up Girl Meets World. Now, somebody say, why are you watching a kid's show? You watch too many children's shows. Well, you know what? Like I said, there is always something to learn. Ben Savage. He's an incredible actor. I mean, when he first did the show, he was exactly, which I didn't realize because she looks a lot more mature than he did, was exactly the same age as the girl who plays his daughter, which is kind of interesting. And now, another one who was in the original Boy Meets World, who is now his wife of Ben Savage, the characters they play, is Danielle Fishel. She was really good. Actually, I used to like her on some show. She actually covered Talk Soup years ago, and she was really entertaining. And she's a really good actress. But now they have their own children, and it continues, and they show you what happened to the different characters. But it's interesting. That part alone is really good. I mean, I have to say, it's a really good. I don't even want to consider it a children's show. I kind of consider it like a family show. And I think, I've learned so much from it. Just to be politically correct for people who will try to correct me, I'm sure they will. I'll leave it at the stance of being a children's show. Well, I've learned more from this children's show than I've learned from anywhere else. And I've learned a lot. And that's saying something. That's saying more than like, you always liked kids shows. So, you're going to say that just to defend the television show. Well, let me put it this way. You see like the things that I've never experienced, because again, I was out of the loop of actually living my life through grade school. Well, actually, grade school I didn't. And you know what? I don't actually. That's one thing I have to defend myself on. I don't think like other people. Obviously, people who know me, and I don't. I haven't experienced what other people do. Developmentally, I was a lot slower than most people just from day one, from my first memories. Because it was funny, I was thinking about it after watching the show. How am I going to defend myself on this? Because I'm going to get ripped to shreds. For here's Walter talking about another kid's show. Well, do you know I couldn't read the hands on a clock until middle school? And most people would laugh at that. Yeah, I mean, I was that slow. I was actually in adjustment classes for everything, all the way up to 12th grade. They tried to put me in regular classes, and it never worked because I was just that slow. I think it was like I graduated with like a 7th grade education level in 12th grade because I was that far behind on my learning skills. So does that make me like everybody else? Should I live my life like everybody else? Of course, because that's what it has been dictated to me. I should live exactly like somebody else. Because everything is basically black and white. There is no gray, according to most people. Well, guess what? There is. I was ecstatic when I was actually by middle school, was able to read The Hands on the Clock for the first time. And this is the absolute truth. And I was slow in other areas too. So sometimes, and I've learned this, it actually dawned on me. I almost had like eureka or serendipity, which I didn't see before. Maybe I'm using that word wrong, but is that going to cause an avalanche in time and space because Walter misused a phrase? Well, probably absolutely not. And by the way, now that it is Thursday morning, it is exactly 1 month to my birthday, which by then I will be, I believe, 49 years old. So, I always have something to learn. I don't learn the same way other people do, but I always am willing to learn something new. So I was watching like Marathon the show. There's a lot of them that are just really gut-wrenching, emotionally gut-wrenching on the show called Girl Meets World. Just your relationships with other people and how important they are is one thing I've learned. I forgot about this one episode I just finished watching. Well, the one character actually thought he had something called Asperger's syndrome. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know it existed. And it's a form of autism. And it's something that you don't have the other traits of autism, but it was like, it makes me almost think that I kind of have that. This thing called Asperger's syndrome. Watching a show made me think about this. They actually did a show where they were talking about politics, things that I didn't even know about, how even your local elections, they actually tapped on that. The one that was the most intriguing, though, on this show, though, that I watched, even just tonight, was they were talking about this one teacher they try to hire for the school that actually influenced the character that Ben Savage played back when he was much, much younger. Well, the teacher had taken a different perspective on how to teach his students in high school. And I actually forgot all about this, but this actually happened to me. I had something similar I experienced in college years ago. Because I was a type of person, I never really got anything out of high school. The teachers just taught you black and white. I may have had one teacher, but I was never around in high school long enough at Methacton to actually get anything out of it. But the one class that I would have learned something from was a science fiction literature class I had taken in high school at Methacton, where we actually had to read 2001 Space Odyssey. It was a science fiction English class. Now, that actually intrigued me. It actually made me want to read. But most of the time, I never got anything out of high school. I really did not. And probably sometimes out of college. And unless it was something I was really interested in, or if the teacher kind of made it more interesting by kind of making it something that you could relate to. Honestly, I never got anything out of high school, or partially sometimes out of college. That was not always the case, but there was some times that actually did happen. So how does this tie into this show? Well, I remember, I totally forgot about this. I probably didn't watch all the episodes, but they actually kind of revamped on an original idea from the original series, where Ben Savage is now a school teacher, teaching his teaching at the same high school that his daughter attends, and he's a history teacher. And I tell you, every episode I've watched, I've learned something that I take away with me. And it's like, okay, this is a kid show. Well, you can learn. You never stop learning from anybody. Everybody around you. There's always, that's one thing this show has have taken with me, that you can learn from everyone around you. Doesn't matter who they are, what age they are. There's always something to learn. You can teach somebody else something, but they can also, in return, reciprocate and teach you something at the same time. When you forget about that and think you know everything, and that the person who teaches you anything new has to be older than you stop living. So the one thing is, I remember on the one show they even teach you about history, obviously, because that's what Ben Savage plays, the history teacher, that history is always going on, and you become part of history. Like things that happened last year is now part of history. But you can always learn things from other people. And again, history is always changing, because it's not written of what's going to happen in the future. But the history that's written today is from our generation that's going to take care of us once we get older. I've learned this from that show, believe it or not, amongst other things. So the one thing that really, really got to me tonight, and it was like, wow, this actually makes sense, because Rush Limbaugh actually did something like this now, too. I actually wanted to mention something about him that he mentioned the other day, and I forgot to pull it up, so I'm just going to have to go off the top of my head on this other one. But anyway, Rush started writing these children's books. And, I forgot all about this. Now, this ties into Girl Meets World, too, believe it or not. But Rush Limbaugh started writing children's books on history. And his reason for doing that was because he was tired of hearing about how history is being, changed in the schools on how it's being taught. Like the true meaning of history is no longer being taught correctly. It's being kind of like swayed it to the left. So how does this fit into Girl Meets World? Well, that's the thing. What he did, though, is because not only is it not being taught properly, but you got to get to teach people about history. You got to make it interesting for them to want to learn it. So this is why he wrote these children's books, and he's actually been very successful. I think he's on his fifth book. Actually, it might be his fourth book. I can't remember. I actually bought them with the intentions someday, perhaps to hopefully to read them. I'm not going to say perhaps, because I'll get reamed about that. So hypothetically speaking, we're going to say it's like 4 books so far. He's written 4 books, and children love them. They actually learn about history. And they also get very entertained. But you know what? Adults are too. Adults are getting learning something from these books they said they never learned in high school or in college. So what does this happen to do with this show called Girl Meets World? Well, what is it? Hypothetically, it's a children's show, but I'm learning from it. And I'm actually learning things I didn't even know about. So not only about history, but about life. And, they actually do mention dates, times, correct dates and times, history, politics. But this one particular episode, they're trying to teach, people which was me in college, take more of an interest in reading. So this really caught my attention right away. So what they did was, this was in a prior episode from years ago when it was Boy Meets World. They did it again in Girl Meets World, where they hire a new teacher who kind of thinks outside of the box. And I remember having a professor who was exactly like this. He was actually, teaching us stuff that was really risky. Could have probably cost him his job. Well, in this one episode of Girl Meets World, it did cost this particular teacher her job. She actually got fired, but then they fought to keep her in her job. And the purpose of the episode was to get people interested in learning about literature. Is you got to get them first interested in reading. So this particular episode, which again they did this before, and it was like, wait a minute, this is right. This is actually makes a lot of sense, and is absolutely true. And I actually take this for granted too. This particular teacher actually brought it in, so I had to look it up. And let me see, I actually put it on Amazon so I remember it. I will look at it right now. Okay, the teacher brought in the class instead of actually. The teacher's name was her name, the character's name in this episode, was actually, if I remember correctly, her character's name, or her real name, or the teacher's name, the fictional name in this episode, was a character out of Kill a Mockingbird, if I remember correctly. I'm going to have to look this up again. Because I looked it up earlier, so I know I can do this. Okay, here it is. Let me see if it gives like a little bit of a thing on where they're going with this. Yeah, I'm trying to look because this episode was actually very, very intriguing. I can't remember her name because I want to make sure I got a little bit of this right. Yeah, it's just only showing pictures. I actually had it, but the teacher's name, the character, the teacher's name was actually, her name came from the reading. I swear it was the Kill a Mockingbird, and she had the students in the class make sure they remembered her. Was brought up in, she said, okay, I don't want you to call me by my last name. I want you to call me by my first name because it's going to mean something later on. But instead of having the students, I think it was To Kill a Mockingbird. It could have been another book. I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, the episode was called Girl Meets New Teacher. And it says, right away, the episode is launching a great joke after a great joke. B, leather jacket, motorcycle, because I was going from the original one. A new teacher versus the principal, also known as Kudos from Disney, not interviewing, being like The Dark Knight Returns. I didn't get into that part yet. But the teacher was trying to teach students more, not only how to be interested in reading, but to learn, actually it was about being interested and learn how to, be interested in what you read, what literature you read. Doesn't matter what it is, but she started by bringing in to the class the graphic novel of, you know what? I can't remember his name now. I'm going to look that up now, too. Oh, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Now, that sounds like, okay, what are you talking about? You're talking about an English teacher teaching a class on The Dark Knight Returns. Well, the purpose was she wanted to get people who weren't interested in this particular episode, characters that are always showing up over and over again. One in particular who just had no interest in reading. She wanted to make sure people first learned take an interest in reading, and two, that even a graphic novel, there is something to be taken from a graphic novel. Now, I'm trying to look for this character's name. Because it was actually a long, lengthy thing on this particular one, but I'm trying to get to the highlights of what the point that she was trying to teach the students. So I apologize. I should have I didn't think I was going to go into a long, grave detail, but this was actually really important to me because she's picked this particular graphic novel not only to teach the kids or get the kids interested in reading, but what has changed over the years, I guess, with society as a general. Because generally, graphic novels, the people who write those, the characters they portray, even though they're fictional, the story behind the characters are basically real life situations, but they make them more obviously into a a fictional not a reality, but a fictional type of setting, but it's based on facts. Because I remember even one time, Stan Lee would, the characters he portrayed were situations that he dealt with relationships, real life situations, and then he put them into a more of a fantasy type thing. But when you take the fantasy out, it actually derives from real life situations and relationships and what's going on in everyday life. So people seem to forget that. I know I forget that. But she was trying to just kind of funnel people down. Okay, there's something to be learned even from a graphic novel, which I would have taken for granted. So I'm trying to look for this teacher's name. I apologize. So I'm going to see if I can just put in, it was called, again, Girl Meets Teacher. It was the 10th episode for the second season. Mainly I was interested in what the character's name was. Because I'm going to make sure I get the story right. Okay, her name was Harper Burgess. So, Harper is teaching the kids about Frank Miller's comic book miniseries, The Dark Knight Returns, set in a dystopia future in which Superman is on the side of evil, of an evil government, so Batman fights the unorthodox. So take that out of the equation. It's not... Okay, I did get the name. Harper, actually, I apologize about this. Her name, according to this, the character she played, this girl or woman who played this English teacher, Harper, actually, because honestly, I can vaguely remember, I think I did have to read this for college. The teacher's name, actually, and why she wanted the students to remember her name, is from Kill a Mockingbird. So the higher up in the school said, well, why aren't they reading Kill a Mockingbird? That's what I meant to say. So I'm trying to see if they kind of explain what I can't explain. I'm trying to find, okay, somewhere it says about Yancey, so I don't know what that is. Yancey tells Harper, so I apologize, it's not going to make any sense. I will try to post this so people can actually read it. Yancey tells Harper Yancey actually is the higher up in this high school in this TV show. Yancey tells Harper it's against school policy for kids to read comic books, quote unquote, and call their teacher by their first name. Yancey is this higher up, like basically part of the board members of this high school in the show called Girl Meets World. So this guy, Yancey, asks Harper, who was supposed to be an English teacher, if she's familiar with Kill a Mockingbird, and tells her to teach that to the class instead. After the principal leaves, okay, so it was a principal, Harper is unuttered and sets her kids the assignment to read Dark Knight Returns. Now, it sounds like it doesn't make any sense. You really can't say much until you watch the episode, and it is actually really well executed, this episode. It was actually originally July 17th, 2015 when it was showed. There's a little bit more. I'm trying to kind of get to the points that I picked up on. Back in the classroom, Harper asked the kids of their opinions on good and evil. So she was trying to teach how society has changed through a graphic novel, which the kids could actually relate to much better. You don't have to be a kid to understand that you can. Adults now read graphic novels, just because it's just you can kind of you can picture it physically. You see pictures and you can actually read it. So it's basically training wheels for some, and for others, they get a better understanding of what's going on everyday life. And how does this relate? Real quick, I'm going to go side note again with Rush Limbaugh. Simplifying things is sometimes the way you get people to learn things. him writing those children's book, Rush Limbaugh, has taught people about history, things they didn't even know, in a way they could actually not only understand, but be entertained. So this show actually, to me, has taught me a lot of stuff I did not know. So I'm always learning something new from anything, and it's easier for me to understand on a much simpler level. And I definitely, feel that I'm not wasting my time watching this show. Anyway, it says, can either side change, and does good always have to win in the end? So she was trying to teach these kids, through a graphic novel, a comic book, how does it relate to the real world? So she tried to gear it towards that, and in the end of teaching them about right and wrong, how evil sometimes will win in the end. You could say that about our government or other governments at this point. Once you get them into that process of thinking, then you can kind of wean them into, okay, I want you now to read To Kill a Mockingbird. And when they read that, they'll say, wait a minute, your name is exactly the same name as the character in this book. So there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, it goes on to say that she talks to the kids. The principal, Yancey, returns and is angered by her studying comic books against his wishes. So he basically gets her tries to get her fired, but it doesn't work. But, the bottom line is you can learn something, and I actually took a lot away from this. It was like, it made me actually reconsider about like graphic novels. I always take them as basically some other people. I'm not going to say everybody because it seems to be a big thing. There's something to learn from everything. And if they made which I think they probably did, they actually did it with the Bible. You make a graphic novel out of something as important as the Bible or of a piece of history, and people are willing to read it. Isn't that more important that they understand what it's about? It doesn't matter how the information is given to them. It's more important that they actually learn something from what they are being, what way can they learn? You know what I mean? So, telling people you should read a textbook, against their wishes, they're not going to learn anything because you're forcing it upon them. But if you make it in such a way that they actually enjoy reading the literature or learning about something, then you've won. You actually, they win, you win because they actually learn something. So, and it reminded me, because I remember when I was in college, though, I had this professor, English professor, which I have actually had taken him for, I think, 2 or 3 semesters for English of all things. Why did I do that? Because the stuff he taught was incredible. It actually kept my interest. I learned about things I never thought I would actually enjoy, and I actually really enjoyed them. It wasn't stuffy. He kept it very risky. Some of the stuff he taught us, technically he shouldn't have taught us at all or had us read, but you know what? I actually enjoyed going to college. I couldn't wait to go to this one professor. His name was Professor Curtis Herr. It was just because what he was teaching you was actually meant something to me. It actually really caught my attention. Now I don't read because there's nothing that really grasps me in the same way as my professor did or the characters on this TV show. So I am more willing to learn when it's something that is given to me that is not being forced down my throat. And that's the problem I have with a lot of things. But this show actually, you're watching something, but you're not only getting entertained, you're learning something. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, there is something to learn. All these characters on this show are really, really good characters. The stuff they write in the scripts for the show are just, to me, even on a simpler level, are just really intense and very incredible. I learned something. By the way, I forgot about this. I did want to mention this. Last night, I was going to make a whole thing out of this, too. So I'm going to go sidetrack once more. I know I've done this quite a few times, but I went and seen, and I was not happy about this. This is why I have to go sidetrack. I went to the movie theater. I paid extra money. It actually was tonight again. They showed Sherlock, the TV series, the new episode on the big screen for 2 nights. Now, last night when I went, Monday night when I went to go see it, it was sold out. It was almost not one seat empty. It was almost sold out. Just let me put it this way: there was like one seat between me and the person next to me. All the rest of the seats were filled in the movie theater. It was down in Oaks, and it was crowded. There was like nowhere to budge. Anyway, it was called Sherlock and the Abominable Bride. So it's a continuation. It was supposed to be what I thought was a history piece on the character, the modern version of Sherlock Holmes, which it was, but it wasn't. Basically what it was is that the character, the modern version of Sherlock Holmes from the BBC, was basically on a high, so to speak. He was up in one of his, because the character of Sherlock Holmes was taking many different types of drugs, so to speak, just to help clear his mind or think more clearly, whatever. So basically, he was trying to solve a case or trying to figure something out while he was under the influence. And what he did was he placed himself and all the other characters from the show in this particular episode back in Victorian time when the stories were supposed to take place with Sherlock Holmes. So that was really cool. But you didn't realize until near the very end that, it was just basically him trying to solve a case in his mind, but he had taken it into a different direction by going back into the Victorian times of 221 Baker Street and living as Sherlock Holmes back in that time period and not in the present time. So it was a little strange, but it was also really kind of cool. Now, my biggest complaint about this, which I don't get, because it actually is more so political than I'd have to say of Girl Meets World. Now, this is what's strange. This is for adults, though, and families as well. Sherlock, the new series from BBC. Well, the difference is, though, Sherlock, though, was going from what Rush Limbaugh would say of, I'm trying to think, the war on women, which is been brought up a lot with Hillary Clinton. She's for women's rights. When her husband was in office, she considered most women bimbos. And she was in charge of what she would call the bimbo alert when her husband would get involved with another extramarital affair. So, and it was like, I hear Rush talk about this a lot, and I like to think that, I try to keep an open mind. It's like, okay, people really don't believe in this goofy war on women thing, but I hate to say it really does exist. So how does this fit in with the Sherlock? Well, guess what it was? This particular episode, it was a Christmas special on Sherlock Holmes. When he went back to Victorian times, what they were trying to embed into the audience members is how women had been back in Victorian times were treated like pieces of dirt and as basically as the family pet. Like they didn't have any say in anything. So, which is kind of strange because it doesn't fit the character at all. So their whole thing was to embed in people's minds how women aren't treated in today's times or back in Victorian times. They are not treated as equals, but as lesser than, less than equal. That they are, they are not looked at as being people, but as pets or as insignificant others. And it was just so disturbing to watch this. Now, I love Sherlock. And another thing they did to make it politically correct, by the way, on Sherlock, is Professor Moriarty. I can't say that name correctly. They make him that he is very flamboyant. Like he's actually seems pretty much homosexual, the character. Now, the actor who plays him is probably a really good actor, but he plays him completely like the man is gay. I remember years ago on PBS, which came from probably it came from England, was the episodes that were shown from the stories of Sherlock Holmes, which included Professor Moriarty, with Jeremy Brett playing Sherlock Holmes. Now, Benjamin Cumberbatch, or whatever, I can't say his name correctly. He does a great job playing Sherlock Holmes, but the whole atmosphere around the character is just ridiculous. And I didn't realize that at first. After watching this Christmas special, I just realized it's like, wait a minute. This show is beyond, it's oversaturated with, okay, we got to be politically correct. We got to make the women extremely strong because they're not being treated equally. We got to, just make the show into a farce. It is a complete farce. Now, the really sad thing is, though, this show came in with the highest ratings, the one for Christmas for Sherlock Holmes, which was just shown on Monday in the big theaters from the BBC. This show on Christmas of Sherlock Holmes came in one of the, I think, second or third highest rated show, as far as audience members for the BBC and around the globe. It came in extremely high. It outranked some other shows like I'm trying to think that's really been popular for years in England. There's some other on the drama shows. This came in extremely high. I can't remember the numbers. So did Doctor Who. But Doctor Who has actually gone in that direction. Now, I've noticed back in the 70s, since I'm going on Doctor Who now, there were some shows that were very political, definitely on the left, about politics, back when John Pertwee was in office. When he was Doctor Who, I apologize. But it never got to the point that I was so irritated by it. Maybe slightly, because it was not the politics I would follow, because it was definitely on the left with the views, the Green Death, for instance, one Doctor Who episode with John Pertwee. But the Doctor Who now, give or take, I love the show, but it can be very irritating. And Sherlock just really put the icing on the cake with that, with literally the war on women. They actually incorporated the war on women into Sherlock, the Christmas special. How they were actually how they successfully did that, I have no clue, but they did it. It's there, trust me. So that really pissed me off. And you wonder what makes me run or flock to shows. If I'm going to watch some TV just to kind of, relax and enjoy myself, why I run to shows that are kid shows. Because some of the kid shows are actually written a lot more intelligently than some of these adult shows, so to speak, or shows meant for an older audience. And I'm not just talking because some people are saying, well, maybe Sherlock's meant for kids. Well, I hate to tell you, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle did not write those books for children. They were meant for like a little bit more of an upscale viewpoint of people. Now it's like bubblegum. It literally is. And it's really a shame because Sherlock, like the Sherlock Holmes series with Jeremy Brett, I watched it from beginning to end. I watched every single episode in order and enjoyed it. I can't remember a show that this actually was up with. It's one of those shows, I think even Rush watches from the BBC. I'm going to have to see what BBC dramas are now. Oh, wait. Because it should come up. Alrighty, forgive me because this is like actually taking a little longer than all programs. Because there's certain shows that people on the BBC, it's going really, really slow. Now, back when I was growing up, Sherlock Holmes was actually considered a drama. It could have actually fell under, it actually still does. Yeah, the newest Sherlock falls under drama. But the old one actually won as far in U.S. falling under Masterpiece Theater, I think, if I remember correctly. But I'm not finding the one I'm looking for that actually came in pretty high. But yeah, it actually says preview pure drama trailer, and it was it's actually showing Sherlock Holmes in the mix. It's believe it or not, Sherlock Holmes fits in the mix of dramas. I'm not even joking, so it's kind of sad almost. But there's some show. Oh, I remember it. I didn't even have to look it up. Downton Abbey got beat. Believe it or not, it got beat by Sherlock Holmes. And you're talking a bubblegum show where they basically force down your throat if you watch it. Because I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. The fact of the war on women. The whole show was saturated. Sherlock Holmes, of all things, saturated with the war on women. It was just really depressing. So I'm going to let that go now. But I would recommend Girl Meets World. I think it's a really good show. You can take it for what you like. You can say, oh, it's just a kid show. Why would I want to watch a kid show? Well, then you're losing something, not me. Because I enjoy it. I actually learn from that show. And I bring that into, like I said, you can learn something. And if may it be through a graphic novel or about situations and you understand that better, or the Rush Limbaugh books, the children's books. If you're taking something from that actually makes you think differently, and not as a child, but it makes you think and think outside the box, then there's nothing wrong with that. I had a professor, actually I might have had two professors who did that, because I actually had a history professor. I hated history class. But in Cabrini College, I had this history professor who at the very end of the class, he quite did not understand me. I said, is this all you're going to teach us? I said, I'm like really disappointing you because you left me with a cliffhanger. He kind of looked at me strange. I was like, but you don't understand. You made class American history, which I can't stand. I'm sorry. I can't follow it. My attention span doesn't go that far. You taught me something. You actually taught me something. That's a good thing. And if it means simplifying it, making it more entertaining, and you get the same thing out of it because you made it more entertaining, then you did your job and you did it well. Actually, it's a little bit of a different note. And another thing I always had a really difficult time with is math. And I remember this one professor I had, friend's sister, or a friend's sister. Her name was, you know what? I can't even remember. It's not even that important. She taught math at Bonnie, I think it was Bonnie Nymphos, something like that. She taught math in a way that people who did not like college, did not understand math ever in their life, she taught in such a way that people actually were willing to learn. And not only did they learn, they actually got an A in her class. And not one person who left her class never left with less than an A, probably. Not that she gave it to them, was the fact that they actually understood things and comprehended it in a different way because she taught outside the box again. So that's more important. If you're going to be a teacher, it's not about giving a person a textbook and here you go. No, the purpose of being a teacher is to teach somebody something. And if that means teaching them in a way they understand, there is nothing wrong with that. if that means, okay, we're going to simplify this, or we're going to put a graphic novel in front of you, just to get you, basically putting training wheels on your learning until you kind of grasp it, and then take it the next step further. That means, I think that's the way I think more people should be taught. And I think for me, myself, I'm looking at things at a different perspective that I never saw before, honestly, because of that show, of what I just mentioned in the beginning of this one, of Girl Meets World. So, hey, shoot me if I'm doing something wrong, but I've actually learned something. I actually did. Anyway, on a different note, it is with comic books, because it says comicbook.com. I thought this was pretty interesting. It was the other day. Victoria Justice, and you wouldn't know who that was, or this next person, Ryan McCartan, cast in the Rocky Horror Picture Show TV remake. So that sounds pretty interesting. That's a twisted kind of movie, but they're making a remake, and they're actually taking these people. They're actually both, if I remember correctly, he still is. One actor is actually on Disney, so I'm wrong. The other one, Victoria Justice, actually used to work for, or have her own show, self-named, on Nickelodeon. So there we go again. Here we're talking about kids shows again. Well, hey, but they're using their potential, because Rocky Horror is a musical, and they're using their talent for something different. So these people, and honestly, if you're going to work for anyone, you want to work for Disney, period, because Disney branches out to a lot of different things. They're the biggest umbrella. They own pretty much all of the corporate entertainment. At least, I would say at this point, at least 3/4 of the corporate entertainment. Bottom line, it's not only a thing that you would enjoy working for, it is also a job for the rest of your life. So that you can't deny, you can't take that and say, oh, well, so what? Alrighty, I'm going to try to already mention about George Reeves' birthday. I'm going to see, because I got a lot of dark stories, honestly. Oh, you know what? I missed this, but most people wouldn't know who this is. I wouldn't think. But Donna Douglas, a.k.a. Mary Clampett, was her birthday. She just turned 82. So that's another belated birthday, though. So I have to mention that as well. But yeah, I used to love her. I actually had a crush on her, obviously, when I was a kid. You can't say, oh, well, you're too old for her. Well, she's 82. I'm not even close to being 82. She's like double my age almost. So, but oh yeah, I used to have the biggest crush. She was adorable. But, happy belated birthday to Donna Douglas, who played Mary Clampett. So I'm just trying to get these light stories out, because they're going to get really, really dark. Just giving you a heads up now. Oh, this one really upset me, actually. I was praying that he would not cave in, Rob Zombie, but unfortunately he actually finally did. And I'm kind of actually disappointed. But he made this movie that hasn't come out yet. It's 31. And he's been trying to get it down to a rated R rating, and it did not work. So I thought that, okay, he finally said, screw it, I'll give it to NC-17 that it truly deserves. Well, no, he still worked at it, which means he probably really edited this movie a lot, severely, more than I even wanted him to do. So he finally got it to the point that they said, okay, from what I understand, they finally gave it a rated R rating. So that means this movie is not going to be what he initially visualized as a film. So to me, that really is upsetting to me that Rob Zombie would cave in. It says Rob Zombie's 31 is set to have a world premiere this month at Sundance. And the musician filmmaker noted that last month he has been having a hell of a time securing a rated R rating for the movie. The NPAA granted 2 different cuts, an NC-17 rating, which essentially means it can't be released in theaters. So that means they'll go right to video. Why can't they show it like in the small time movie houses, Bryn Mawr, Philadelphia, around here? I would go see it. I'd rather see what he initially wanted, but it's according to this, it's not going to be released in the theaters at all. They said because the contents of sadistic, graphic violence, bizarre sexual nudity, perversive, disturbing images, and some strong language, and today brings on an update on Rob Zombie's Battle. It seems that Box Office Mojo that the film has received an R rating. I personally, I seen, which was a very disturbing film. A friend and I, we saw it up in New York, actually. It's funny, Rob Zombie actually has a T-shirt that I have, the same one that you buy at Old Navy of Friday the 13th in a picture. Anyway, what was I going to say? A friend and I actually were talking about this. We went and saw it up in New York. Was this movie called Vulgar? It's under View Askew. It's the symbol for View Askew. That was a disturbing movie. I think that might have actually been, if I remember correctly, that might have been an NC-17 movie. But, it was released on a small scale. We were fortunate enough, because my one friend lived in New York, we went and seen it. And it was actually, it was good, but we didn't see it butchered. We saw it the way it was meant and intended to be seen. Unfortunately, though, now Rob Zombie has given in, which I'm not happy about, just to get to, I know why people want a rated R rating, because you're going to get more audience members. But what you're going to see is a lot of jump cuts, in my opinion. It's not going to be the same film any longer. It's going to be something completely different. It's going to jump all around. So to me, I don't like that. So I just kind of would wish, I wouldn't want to see, I don't want to see the rated R rating personally. I want to see the one that he initially was trying to go for, Rob Zombie. To me, that's important, not to give in. Actually, unfortunately, I think the rest of my stories are going to be really dark, so I'm just giving you a heads up now. And maybe that being said, I can just kind of go through them and end my show for tonight. I'm just checking because I had some links that I did not check out. Some are going to be more bizarre than others. I'll tell you right now. The first one, PIX11. Thank you, Todd, for this one. Video attack. Attacker hurls a cart at a 61-year-old man in a boga bra. Now, get this. A younger guy literally, and it's on video, it's captured on video, physically beats down a 61-year-old man. It's in the Bronx. Disturbing video captures an irate customer attacking a 61-year-old man inside the Bronx. It looks like boga or something, punching him to the ground and throwing a cart at him while he lay on the store floor. So they actually show the video. It is very disturbing. I will tell you this much. It happened around 7 p.m. Christmas Eve inside Boga or whatever at 855 East Tremont Avenue. The police had said the attacker and a 6-year-old customer bumped into each other inside the store. Police said the pair exchanged words, and that's when the culprit became violent. And it's really, really sad. Reading down to the end, officers are asking public for the help to find a man who threw the cart. He's described as a black male between 25 and 30 years old who stands between about 5'11" tall. So, yeah, he literally brutally attacked a 61-year-old man just because the man bumped into him. And, it's really, honestly, it's disturbing what goes on with people and what they feel like they should be entitled to get away with, because they are, again, it goes back to being a victim. I've been mistreated all my life. And now, I'm standing up for my rights. You're standing up for rights. You beat a 61-year-old man. How is that actually standing up for anything besides that you're a coward who lives in this fictional world that you feel like you were at right to beat up a 6-year-old man? It makes no sense. But this is our society nowadays, folks. So anyway, thank you, Todd, for that story. By the way, he sent that, I believe yesterday. And like I said, you got to look at this video. At least it is very disturbing. I mean, he literally is pounding the guy with, with a shopping cart. Not even a shopping cart. It's like one of those things, I guess, an older person would carry their groceries in. It's like one of those wheel carts, but he's literally pounded over the guy's body. And it's no joke. They actually show it. That man should be sent to jail for the rest of his life, the guy who attacked this old man. That's my opinion. But, of course, they're finding some reason that the person who is doing this vicious act is the victim and not the person being attacked, even though the other guy's 61, the other guy's 20-some years old. A story, actually, I think a guy from a friend, Matt Harthman, actually found this, I think. Lansdale man masturbates in woman's backyard, police statement says. Woman looked out her window on Christmas Eve and saw something startling happen in her backyard. This was in the Montgomeryville Lansdale patch. It actually did happen in Lansdale when a man masturbated in the backyard of this woman's house on Christmas Eve. William McGeehan, 65, of Jenkins Avenue, was already facing stalking charges for harassing a different woman, according to the court documents. The woman called the police after she looked outside and saw McGeehan sitting in a patio chair in her backyard and masturbating while facing her window. And this was from the Reporter, actually. Preliminary hearings are going to be this month on January 25th. So thank you, Matt Harthman. I think this is a story I might have found. This was actually on the Dream and Demon. The original source, I am not too sure. Laura Reed beat disabled man with a metal cane because he did not believe in God. This happened in Louisville, Kentucky. Police have arrested a 49-year-old Laura Reed after she allegedly beat a disabled man with his metal cane because he did not believe in God. So I guess this would fall under the category of the war on women. Trust me, there will be a way they will find that this woman was, these are all victims. And what causes this uprise in hate crimes and stuff, because that's exactly what it is this, everybody is being mistreated because, again, the war on women, where women aren't being treated equally fair, minorities being mistreated, and it's because of the white male. That's the thing I wanted to bring up. Rush actually did mention that the other day. He didn't say white male. It was actually 2 days ago, or it was on Monday. He had mentioned that he's being pinpointed out, but he did use the phrase, I'm not kidding, on Monday's show, because I was listening to it, after they put it up on online, that it's the white person, the white people who are responsible for all the hate crimes and all the hatred, and they're always being the ones pointed out while everybody else is victims. See, I take it the next step. It's not just the white population that is held accountable for everything. As Rush said, it's the white male who's being held accountable for everything. Anyway, that story says police have arrested a 49-year-old Laura Reed after she allegedly beat and a disabled man with a metal cane once again because he did not believe in God. Asked if he believed in Santa Claus, police said Reed in the man's home when police say Reed was in the man's home when she asked if you believe in it was crossed off Santa Claus and then said God. And when he replied that he did not, Reed became so angry as his heathen ass, that's what they wrote. She beat the poor guy with his metal cane until it broke. See, I mean, again, there you go. If you really look deep inside, this is all going to go down, honestly, to the war on women. Anyway, Todd sent this as a joke, but it's a real story. This is no joke. And in some ways, it is a joke. It was from a website called theweek.com. Studies, smell and farts may be good for your health. The next time someone in your office lets a silent but deadly emission, maybe you should thank them. A new study in the now this is money that is being used for hypothesis, whatever you want to call it. This is no joke. A study at the University of the Exeter in England suggested the exposure of hydrogen sulfate, aka basically farts, what your body produces as bacterial breakdown of food, causes gas. Could prevent some type of damage. I can't even pronounce this one word. Yep, the implication of what you're thinking, people are taking the research to the mean that smell and farts could prevent disease and even cancer. This is no joke. This was an article that's pretty old, too. It's back like 2 years ago, but he found it somehow. Yeah, it's pretty funny, though, that they actually did a research investigation on that farts could actually help keep you from, be a preventative measure into not getting cancer. I think that's really ridiculous. He actually found another one, Todd. Mandatory.com. And it's actually a video, but it's very gross pictures as well. Watch this woman scrape her long, gross toenails across the floor and try not to cringe. This was actually January 6th, so this is a newer one. Move over nails on the chalkboard. There's a new disgusting sheriff in town, and her nails are very extremely gross. She does not cut her toenails, and they're actually curving over. And they are pretty encrustated, too, to say the least. Anyway, Todd, this was a story I think Todd or friend Matt might have put up, Harthman. This was from Limerick Royersford Spring City Patch. This was actually yesterday. Update, man facing charges in Cole's fight. Several store employees were involved in a bloody melee that sent two to the hospital. Royersford, PA, which is not that far. A fight at a Royersford Coles between several employees landed two individuals in the hospital, according to the reports. The incident occurred around 4 a.m. on Wednesday in the South Township Line Road. NBC 10 reports. Anthony Wigzer Jr., 22, allegedly asked coworker for $1. According to the reports, he told investigators he took 2 narcotic pills before his shift. He then asked for money. Next thing that the person knows, he lost it. He reportedly said, and this guy, Wurtzlet, whatever, threw a chair and several other items at a 64-year-old woman and shoved a 32-year-old woman to the ground when she tried to intervene. The male workers came to the room and managed to detain this guy, Wigsler, I think it is, actually. 2 of the victims were taken to Pottstown Memorial Medical Center for treatment. Wigsler has been charged with 2 counts of simple assault, 2 counts of reckless endangerment, and 1 count of disorderly conduct, and 2 counts of harassment. The preliminary hearing is, again, another one of late this month, January 21st. Cole's location, this particular one, is open. I didn't know this. This particular Cole's is open 24 hours a day. I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't know there was any Cole's open all night and day. Here's a story I actually found. It was kind of entertaining, to say the least. It was the 6th of January. Man choked prostitute, ripped out her breast implant with his teeth. This is in Cologne, Germany. A man walked into a German brothel where he choked a prostitute before ripping out her breast implants with his teeth. The 27-year-old man entered a brothel at around midnight and went to the room of the 26-year-old woman. According to the police, he paid for sex but began violently choking the woman without saying a word. He then bit her breasts so viciously that he pulled out the poor woman's breast implants with his teeth. The victim, who was bleeding profusely, screamed for help, and then the man was able to escape. Witnesses say that they saw an Arabic-looking man hiding in an ATM area. Sorry, I just bounced my head off the mic. Another brothel across the street. When the security tried to apprehend him, he reportedly cursed at them and threw himself on the ground and started screaming. That's very mature. Police arrived shortly after and took the man into custody. The woman was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery to repair her busted breast. It's supposed to be a play on words. Now, this one was kind of interesting. This one's actually really, really disturbing. This was on the Daily Mail, of all places, and it's actually pretty similar. Transgender surgery addict spends £5,200 on 4 boob jobs, 2 round lipo, and 150 face fillers to have the perfect female body, and says her wife is standing by her. Now, this was once a man. No offense, but this woman looks, well, it was a man, extremely hideous. It looks like one of those botched up stories where his lips are bigger than his fucking face. His nose looks horrendous. He's got these huge breasts. He was once a man. He underwent this surgery at age, I think, 55 or something like that. So he wasn't even young. He was a married man and decided he wants to be a woman. I mean, his lips literally look like a hideous monster. Look at the pictures. He's got these humongous breast implants. He actually got, I think, his ass worked on too, and he also had and he's got a what do you call it, a beer gut too. But it looks like something from a bad horror movie, to say the least. And I feel bad for his wife. I mean, I would have left this monster by now, because that's what he looks like. But he's holding in his hands these ultra large breast implants that he insisted on having. Now, when he was a guy, he looked kind of like a decent guy, but it's horrible looking now. He looks like again, when you see those really botched up stories, this is what this guy looks like. Well, a woman. I think he still has his testicles and his penis, and he wants to get that removed now too. I feel, again, really bad for his wife. Why he stays with him, I don't know. I can't even pronounce his name, but I thought it was from another country, because when you hear him talk, he doesn't speak English. He's Italian. So came out as a transgender in 2000. The 56-year-old says he knew at the age of 15 years old that she was living a lie. I'm wondering if this movie that just came out, The Danish Girl, has caused... Well, this is way before that anyway. Maybe you read the book, though. Since telling his wife, Marissa, she had multiple procedures costing over £5,200. Operations include 4 breast augmentations and 150 excuse me, lip and cheek fillers. Oh, great. I don't have any iced. Oh, I do have iced tea, so hold on a sec. Sorry about that, folks. I really stepped away. Yeah, let me read that last line. Operations included 4 breast augmentations, 150 lip and cheek fillers. The couple now lives as sisters, but have been ostracized in their town. No fucking shit. Apparently, his parents actually disowned this thing now. He just looks, no offense, he looks completely hideous. And literally, the operations he got done are really, really botched up. Yeah, it says 100. They have a picture of him in a bra and panties. And it just looks really scary because he's got these humongous breasts. And they have a thing arrowing down about the lip and cheek fillers. But the lip ones, I mean, they look like two balloons on his lips, for his lips. The nose job just looks hideous. The breast augmentations, he's got like triple D or double Ds right now. And two liposuctions where you can see like the markings where it went wrong and bottom augmentation. So, I wouldn't even call it a woman. It literally looks like something from a horror movie. No offense. It looks really, really bad. I mean, I've seen some guys that get surgery done and they know when to stop and they look, not that it's my cup of tea, but they do look like women. But this looks like seriously like those celebrities who really just go way too far with surgery and they just look no longer like human beings. So this is this guy. So you can see that on the Daily Mail of all things. Italian guy. Dreaming Demon again. I have one. Man used his wife's dismembered head to drown himself in Australian lake. So this was in Austria. So it's in Austria. After killing and dismembering his wife, an elderly man used her dismembered head as a weight to drown herself. This is a different story. This was, I think, 2 days ago now. Let me double check. 1 day ago, this was posted. On Sunday, a man it's in Austria, found a suitcase floating near the shore of Lake Treni or something. He called the police after opening the suitcase and finding that it contained a pair of hands and feet. The next day, the police dog would find a second suitcase that was also contained human remains, later identified as a 71-year-old woman. The same day, police divers would find the body of the dead woman, 72-year-old, the dead woman's 72-year-old husband in the lake, weighed down by the decapitated head of his wife. According to investigations, the man strangled his wife sometime between December 25th and January 1st, and then he dismembered the wife's with a saw and placed the body parts in suitcases found floating in the lake. But he then entombed her decapitated head in concrete, along with some personal items, and then tied the concrete block to his hand before throwing himself into the water. He drowned without a struggle. State Prosecutor Bermit Amir said, police officers have not released the couple's identity aside from saying that they were from Germany. So I kind of botched it up, of course, but hey, what do you expect from Walter? The Reporter News, this is a different story. This is the Reporter. I found this one. Police in Hatfield, man arrested for assaulting his girlfriend. Alrighty, so this one was like a day ago. Hatfield Borough man is behind bars for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend on New Year's Eve in what police described as just the latest incident in a long history of domestic disputes between the couple. Brian Nickman, 41 of 100 block of Penn Street, has been charged with one count each, second-degree misdemeanor, simple assault, and a summary of harassment, and has been committed to Montgomery County Correctional Facility in lieu of $15,000 bail. Hatfield Township cops responded to Nickman's resident on the morning of December 31st for a report of physical domestic dispute and encountered a woman who had breakfast cereal on her face and in her hair and a cut above her upper lip. According to the police, affiliate of probable cause. The woman said that Nickerman, her live-in boyfriend had walked into the kitchen that morning and spit in her bowl of cereal because he calmly acts irrational and combative for no apparent reason, the affiliate states. So this is interesting. So, yeah, this guy had a girlfriend, which is amazing. I don't know what she looked like. I don't know what he looked like. Nickman then allegedly hit the woman in the face and forehead and pulled her glasses off her face and broke them. And then he had taken a hot pizza from a microwave, grabbed the woman, and smashed the pizza in her arm while spitting in her face, according to the affiliate. The woman said then that while holding the bowl of cereal, she went into the bedroom and changed her shirt, but then Nickerman, followed her and pushed the bowl into her face, causing a cut on her lip, according to the affiliate. Now, this is interesting. I'm reading this, and I'm like wondering, okay, this monster got a girlfriend of some sort. Again, I don't know what she looks like. I don't know what he looks like. I'm sure they're probably not that bad looking, because most of these women just find that heavily attractive just to find them the lowest common denominator of scum, pine scum, to date. During questioning by police, Nickman admitted to ramming the bowl into the woman's face, court documents indicate. Further investigations indicate the couple had two children. Two children were in the residence at the time of the incident. So on top of it, this woman had two kids with this idiot. The woman also said that there has been a long history of physical abuse during her 6-year relationship with this Nickman, the affiliate state. And I was interested. I was in Walmart tonight, and there was these, to be politically correct, there was this African-American woman, I guess, and mother, and their offspring, their kids, this girl's kids, this black girl's kids. And all I heard was this grandmother or mother just yelling at these poor kids, like, really severely. I mean, it was definitely a domestic, violent kind of thing on a verbal level. You know, I mean, she was really just ripping these kids apart. I was making my skin cringe just hearing this lady. So I just see this stuff all the time. And most of these people, no offense, most of these people don't even have jobs. I mean, I don't care what ethnicity you are, but this area is just filled with just like lowlifes and dirtbags. And this is what our government has made of our country. And it's gotten worse in Pennsylvania. Hatfield police said the officers had responded to the residents twice in the past month for domestic disputes. This Nickman is due in Lansdale District Court on January 14th for preliminary hearing. So it's just like nonstop with these stories. I actually did have one more lighter story. Here's another one, by the way. This was on CBS News. California boy a 9-year-old boy was mauled to death by her sister's pit bull. She had like 3 of them. Linda of California, a 9-year-old boy was mauled to death while he was at home alone in a trailer, and Yuba County Sheriff's investigators said on Monday. So, no puns intended, but she did live in a trailer. She had pit bulls, and her little brother got mauled to death. The boy's 24-year-old sister was in charge of watching him, but left him home alone with 3 pit bulls, reports say, and Scranamito or something. Alexander Griffin Hetty remains under investigation as she copes with the brutal death of Tyler Hudson, her brother, basically. Little kid. Neighbors in a quiet Linda neighborhood say Griffin Hetty recently moved into a small trailer waiting for one to better her life and eventually pull her little brother out of the foster system. In one picture, she's cuddling her 3 pit bulls. In another, she's hugging her brother. But What looks happy on the outside was complicated, the boy's uncle said. I'm trying to see where I left off. Sorry about that. With the circumstances of the alley not being mature enough, not able to handle a 9-year-old, Donald Thorpe said she was just barely 24 herself. He says Tyler lived in a hard life, moving in and out of foster homes after his mom died of drug overdose, homeless on the streets of Scranamino or something. Thorpe says Tyler's sister recently moved into a trailer from Florida and got approved for weekend visits with the goal of later adopting Tyler, her brother. Then Sunday morning came. Investigators say Griffin Headley left for work and returned to find little brother mauled to death by her pit bulls. Well, you know what? Everybody says how timid these dogs are, but not really. Unless you really know how to take care of these animals, it's like that woman who had a wild or a chimpanzee or something. They might be cute and cuddly, but they are still wild animals. You can't make certain animals domesticated. I'm sorry. And that's obviously, people aren't going to learn until more and more people die. And it's always with the pit bulls. I don't care how cute and cuddly they are. Griffin Headley was too distraught to come out of her trailer on Monday, but investigators say she was cooperating and may face child endangerment charges. The details don't sit well with the Undersheriff's Jerry Reed. I don't know. It just basically says, I don't know. This one seems to have affected me most. He said the child being home alone and just had to have been terrified on what took place. The pit bulls were taken from the trailer by animal services and will likely be euthanized. Well, they should be. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but yeah. Honestly, if you know how to take care of animals, that's one thing. But I've seen more and more cases where these dogs literally are tearing little kids apart. So there's something to be said about that. Anyway, this was kind of funny. Todd had sent this the other day to me, and it's not funny. It was actually January 5th, though. Woman encourages boy to steal cell phone from New Jersey diner, cops say. Saddlebrook, New Jersey. So you got to be careful. Make sure if you have a very expensive cell phone, make sure you keep it with you, because if you've put it down, which I've done before, I actually left my cell phone in the bathroom in the diner or in a restaurant, and thank God it's never been swiped by somebody. But people are ruthless. Phone hijacking at Hibachi Grill in New Jersey was caught on video by the alleged juvenile thief who was operating at an adult's request, according to Saddlebrook police. The family say that they were waiting to be seated at a hibachi grill and buffet on Route 46 in Saddlebrook when the son, without realizing it, dropped his dad's Galaxy 4 mini smartphone on the floor. It is worth about $600, and the other box case on it would add another $100. Soon after the phone hit the floor, another family heads towards the exit. You can see this in the surveillance video. The woman motions to the teenager in a yellow jacket who pointed out the cell phone to pick it up. It appears to scoop it up, this kid, and then he runs out the door. So they basically, instead of like handing in, hey, somebody dropped her cell phone, the parent encourages the kid to pick it up, and they're with the intentions that they did steal it. Police are hoping the surveillance video helps lead them to the those responsible for taking the phone, and are asking anyone who have noticed the family in the restaurant to come forward. So that is really scary that people are that ruthless. I'm going to step back. I got a lot of really nasty stories. I'm going to leave with a lighter one for the end of the night. One I found, Dreaming Demon. Michael Bernard tries stabbing mother to death for college tuition. Will County, Illinois, police have charged 22-year-old Michael Bernard with the attempted murder after they say he tried stabbing his mother to death so he could get collect the insurance money. Basically, Bernard's mother was taking him to the train station so he could go back to college. When he asked her to stop backing out of the driveway because he forgot something in the house, this is when Bernard returned and he pulled out a 6-inch butcher's knife and began stabbing his mother. She managed to fight him off and slammed her door shut before backing out of the driveway. A relative witnessed the attack and called 911. So this is ridiculous. I was saying this to a friend where it just seems that, I remember when I was in college, I was in my 20s, but I made sure, I cut back on my work hours. My parents were nice enough to let me do that. But when I was on spring or winter break and spring break, I worked a plethora of hours just to save up for, going to college, give my parents some money, and to pay for my books. I didn't try to kill my parents because, hey, I don't want to work. I mean, it's obvious this guy didn't have any job. He didn't try to work during his break from college, so instead he tries to kill his mother to collect on insurance because he doesn't want to work. Police arrive at the scene and arrest Bernard. He has been charged with attempted murder, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, and aggravated domestic battery. According to the statement from the Will County Sheriff's Office, Bernard was trying to kill his mother so he could collect the insurance money to pay for his college tuition once again. His plan failed miserably because not only did he get caught, his mother survived the attack as well. She allegedly has been released from the hospital where she was treated for cuts, abrasions on her hands, arms, and throat. It's really sad. Another Dreaming Demon story I found was Matthew Stewart accused of rubbing feces-covered underwear in his wife's face. Another horrendous story, Syracuse, New York. If any one of you ladies out there got a crappy Christmas gift from your mate, be lucky you aren't married to Matthew Stewart. The 32-year-old is accused of getting into an argument with his wife that led to him covering her face with his feces-covered underwear and telling her to smell it. Well, that was very nice of him. According to the report, Stewart broke into the wife's apartment on Christmas by breaking through a living room window while their 2-year-old daughter stood nearby. The two got into a physical altercation. Stewart ended up by pushing his wife to the ground and shoving a pair of shit-stained drawers into her face so that she could not breathe. Smell it is what he said. He allegedly commanded the poor woman. That's what it actually says. Let me just check my thing. Okay, I was just checking my levels. For getting his wife shit-faced on Christmas, Stewart was arrested and charged with second-degree burglary, second-degree harassment, fourth-degree criminal mischief, criminal obstruction of breathing, I never heard of that one before, and an endangerment of the welfare of a child. He is ordered held in county jail without bond. Well, that's good, at least. It's too interesting. I'm actually getting down on my horrible stories, so I should be happy. Daily News. I think Todd might have sent me this from my friend Todd. British girl 4 left injured after being super glued to McDonald's toilet seat in cruel prank. This poor little kid. A British girl 4 was left injured. Todd did send me this one. And in tears after a cruel prank left her super glued to McDonald's toilet seat. Kaya, she's a cute little kid. Lamed had the skin ripped off her back of her legs after sitting on the seat that had been covered in powerful glue. This poor little kid. Her devastated mom Nicole described the incident in Exeter, England, as every mother's worst nightmare. Now the British cops are hunting two teenager girls who they believe are responsible after they were caught laughing on CCTV just before the incident. Langmed, I think it's Langmed, was in the restaurant with her daughter. Oh God, Nuala. When Kaya, where do these names come from, emerged from the toilet in agony. It shows a picture of the restroom. The seat was covered in glue, and the police now want to speak to the two teenage girls in connection with the incident. Kaya, said something had hurt her bum, basically her ass, but never crossed my mind that it would be glue, she said. This poor little kid. I was completely shocked, and when I then checked Kaya over to see how badly she had been marked, she was left in tears. The skin was ripped off the back of her legs. I just don't understand why anyone would do this. Now, it actually makes me think the next time I actually use a restroom, because it's going to be some copycats somewhere. Oh, there's an interesting story. I'm going to have to actually open up. Langmed praised restaurant staff for their help and said that she hoped the two teenagers were now caught. Devon and Comwell police describe the girls as ages between 16 and 18, one with long blonde hair and the other one with shoulder-length brown hair. That's pretty bad. We were called to Exeter High Street McDonald's after reports of a criminal damage to the downstairs toilet, said a spokesperson. Anyway, we would like to talk to the two girls who were on the scene shortly before the incident. So obviously they were involved too. This poor kid had to pay. Okay, I saw this and it's really sad. This is another story. It was actually on the Daily News. I think the other one in Daily News? I guess it was. It's a poor kid. So I just added it. Indian elephant man is often compared to a Hindu god, but his original prayer is for the miracle surgery to fix his trunk. This poor kid has these gross off his face. This poor Indian kid. It is guy, because I think it's actually a man. So I just posted that. But they actually call him the Elephant Man. Yeah, he's got extreme, the same one that the elephant John Merrick had, but all over his face. This poor man. And it does go down almost like a trunk. I really do feel bad for this man. But I just posted that story on my page, my Facebook page. You could actually see it. It should be posted for today. Okay, I got one ridiculous story and I got one, entertainment story. So, and some pictures too. This was from the other day, and this actually makes me glad that me and my one friend Matt did not go to New York, because I think this actually did happen in New York City, and it was from. Oh God, that is actually the name of the web link. But that's noneofmybusiness.com. I swear to God. Woman gives vodka butt shots at a bar on New Year's, causing riot after diarrhea explosion. It's no joke. This is on the 4th. St. Louis. Oh, I thought this happened in New York. It says, an evening of body shots and drunken adult turned into a violent riot during a New Year's Eve celebration after several men lined up to receive vodka butt shots from a 28-year-old Brittany Sullivan. According to the patrons at the Timber Creek Bar in St. Louis, Missouri, it is not uncommon for a woman to crawl on the bar and offer body shots to men. However, it was the first time the shots had ever been delivered this way. Yeah, this chick was real drunk. It does say that, by the way. She went over to the corner with a funnel, a bottle of Kettle One, and her girlfriend poured the vodka in the back door and stuck a straw in there, said Wolfson, who was at the bar that evening. She let loose a good one, and clear liquid flew out. So one end definitely came out volcanically. So several of the drunk dudes in there went for it, but it was the last guy that got more than he bargained for. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life, especially the corn. When I saw that I lost it. So basically, not only did they get the vodka coming out of her ass, they also got some stool movement too. According to the witnesses, Sullivan began serving men with a straw, but eventually dropped her drawers and served the shots like the geyser of Yellowstone Park. Unfortunately for the one man who demonstrated to remain anonymous, his grazer was not running clear. Sullivan blasted out not vodka, but remains of corn chowder soup she had for lunch. The victim began vomiting the next to the bar, while several other men pushed Sullivan off the ledge of the bar, causing her a concussion. A riot ensued. Several people were arrested, including Sullivan, who was charged for her inappropriate behavior. Sullivan's blood alcohol was 4 times the legal limit. She insisted she was not. She has no recollection of the incident after hitting her head, and is suing the bar for the inability to control the situation. Well, whose fault is that, though? No offense. Yeah, they should have stopped her drinking, but I'm sure she probably found the way, even if they said, okay, you can't drink anymore. She probably found the way around that. Timber Creek Bar says that they have banned body shots from ever being given at this bar again. And her head looks like it's swollen around her eye and her forehead. I mean, it looks like it's literally ballooned up because she literally wobbled her head. So it's like blown up like a balloon. I'm not even kidding. She actually does look like John Merrick because her head is that swollen on the top. So anyway, I had to leave with something a little less gruesome as that story, as badly as I read it. So I found this one from comicbookmovie.com. Margaret Roby, if I'm saying her name right, says Suicide Squad Harley Quinn is violent and crazy. And that was on the 5th. Depending on how method of the actor you are, some of your character's traits might start growing on you. Such might be the case with the Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn's actress of Margaret Roby. She's actually in a different film now. Harley is a creepy, violent, crazy. All these things that I inspired to be, Roby told Simplex in the recent interview. No, it's just fun of living viciously through someone who is doing things that I would never do in real life. In early 2015, Roby starred alongside with Will Smith from the thrilling movie about con men and gambling titled Focus. The two joined forces again in August for Suicide Squad when Smith will be playing Deadshot. She basically, quote, I enjoyed working with Will so much that I was overjoyed when I heard that we would be working together again. And Roby explained, I actually texted him when I heard he was in negotiations to be in the Suicide Squad and kept peer pressuring him. You'd better be taking this movie. She basically was quoted saying, he obviously signed on for his own reasons, but I was so incredibly happy that we got to do round 2. He's awesome on the set and awesome off the set. He's just really, really a good person. Suicide Squad hits theaters now, August 5th, 2016. So that's a shame. We're going to have to wait actually almost to the end of this year to go see that film. I hate the way they make you, a lot of these movies, they just kind of like, seem like they take forever to come out, because like Batman versus Superman's one of them. By the way, my friend Matt sent me something. This is awful. It ruined the movie for me. I guess it's a movie I was actually going to go see. Oh, he's showing me something, Hot Lesbian Werewolf Action. So, and it's American Werewolf in London. So I'll have to watch this later. So Matt, thank you for that. I can actually add something from not only Matt Harfman or Todd Thomas, but Matt just sent me something, redtube.com. So Matt, thank you for that. Hot Lesbian Werewolf Action. I will watch that later and I will tell you what I think about it. But thank you, Matt. I really do appreciate that. And I do want to see that movie he mentioned. I really, really do. I'm not just saying that. So I don't want him to think that, oh, it's another movie you're just not going to go see because I recommended it. No, that's not the case. Yeah, but like I said, I actually learned this tonight too. That's actually what went to my email. One of the reasons. I had like $12 of eBay buck money, so I just bought Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Well, I had like $20, so I took 16 of it to buy this graphic novel. I just want to see what I get out of reading this graphic novel by Frank. What was his name? Frank Miller. Anyway, I kind of gathered from this already, not reading it, but this Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns, which actually I think was made in film with the same name, but it actually is not the same. That Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, a graphic novel, I gathered already, is the premise for this movie called Batman versus Superman. Because it's when Superman becomes like evil, so to speak, and Batman kind of tries to bring him back, to the good side, so to speak. I'm just hypothetically speaking. I have to end the show somehow. So anyway, thanks a lot for listening. I really got to end this show. Thank you for listening if you are. And if you're not, or if you are, try to get other people. If you're not, please listen. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, good morning on this Thursday. And I'm signing off for now. This is Walter from iWalter. Now on Thursday at almost 2 o'clock on January 7th, 1 month for my birthday. So thanks a lot for listening if you are.